Hello everyone. Welcome to the Baba Baba channel. For today, Marvel 101 will talk about a superhero who is number one in the heart of many people. That is Iron Man or Tony Stark. Today we're going to pick 70 Iron Man's armor sets from release to up to date. At first, we will brief history about Iron Man. Anthony Tony Stark is a genius inventor and billionaire industrialist, who suits up in his armor of cutting-edge technology to become the superhero Iron Man. He was the arrogant son of wealthy, weapon manufacturer Howard Stark. At first Tony cared only about himself, but he would have a change of heart after was kidnapped by local terrorists and gravely injured. He was pressured to create a weapon of mass destruction, however Tony instead created a suit of armor powerful enough for him to escape. After returning to America, Tony further upgraded the armor and put his vast resources and intellect to use for the betterment of the world as Iron Man. Tony's superhero identity led him to become a founding member of the Avengers. Well, let's start looking at all of his armor. Number 1. Iron Man Armor Model 1 or Original Armor. This armor first appeared in Tales of Suspense issue number 39 in March, 1963. This suit of armor was created by Tony Stark, with the help of Ho Yinsen, when he was arrested by a terrorist cell in Afghanistan while overseeing the testing of some weaponry. However, the location and moment when Tony Stark became Iron Man has changed over the years due to Marvel's sliding timescale. It was originally during the Vietnam War in Vietnam, but it was later changed to the Persian Gulf and, more recently, to an unnamed conflict somewhere in Afghanistan. This armor worked as a pacemaker to keep Stark's heart beating after shrapnel from the detonation of a landmine became lodged in his chest. The armor doubled as a means for Stark to escape captivity and avenge Yinsen's death at the hands of their captors. For the properties of this armor, the armor's primary function was to act as a pacemaker which electronically stimulated Tony Stark's heart to keep it beating after the shrapnel from a landmine's detonation had entered his chest. This ability was achieved through the use of a defibrillator circuit and flat antenna that directly stimulated the SA signal of Stark's vagus nerve as needed with the use of a supercutaneous high-frequency electric signal. This function was made obsolete once Stark had been cured of his condition. Stark and Yinsen provided the armor with additional offensive and defensive capabilities to double its use as a means to escape captivity. Miscellaneous equipment includes miniature versions of different handy tools, including a buzzsaw and a drill, public address speakers, powerful magnets, detachable suction cups that allowed the wearer to adhere to smooth surfaces and are strong enough to support the weight of the armor for a few moments, an electronic reverse energy beam that could redirect rays of energy, chemical crystals that could change the composition of substances, image inducers, nuclear-powered clippers, diamond edge digging tools, a miniature furnace that generates heat waves, a fluoroscope, audio recorders, radio communications, earplugs, and miniature jet blowers. Some of these items appear to be stored in the suit's accessory belt, while others, such as the buzz saw, appear to be incorporated into the armor's fingers. Using the belt's panel, the armor could access the systems of Stark Industries. For the offensive powers, the suit raises the power of its wearer, allowing the user to effortlessly pick up a man in the air, to bust through metal doors, to smash brick walls just by stepping into them, to crush a cannonball easily, and to break the fall of a missile. Armor weaponry includes a miniature flamethrower and a tear gas bomb. The armor can also redirect its electrical currency to its shell, which is capable of electrocuting objects by touch. A circular machine in the middle of the chest is known as the mono beam, a compact proton beam that served the function of an efficient searchlight, but could also be modified for a heat ray. It had only a useful range of a few yards. For the defensive powers, the armor shell is strong enough to resist gunfire, the impact of cannonball, heat, cold, energy, and acid attacks. The suit is also fitted with a number of miniature electromagnetic generators that enable the user to control magnetic fields for a variety of uses, including jamming and interruption of electrical devices, and reverse magnetism, to repel metal objects such as bullets and enemy weapons. An electrical force field may also be generated to shield the armor from energy attack. Number 2. Iron Man Armor Model 2 or Iron Man Armor Mk2. The second armor first appears in Tales of Suspense issued 48 in December, 1963. After a catastrophic fight with a criminal known as Mr. Doll, Tony came to realize that the Iron Man armor Model 1 was too bulky, particularly in his state, which created an excessive overuse of energy for the armor to merely hold its own weight. Tony crafted a sleeker, lightweight armor to remedy this. In turn, this suit is a lighter, more flexible, and more maneuverable version of Tony Stark's original Iron Man armor. For example, the chest plate was reduced to a wafer-thin layer in thickness, and the helmet was redesigned in such a way that it was so light, Stark reported that it could hardly be felt to be worn. The weight reduction allowed Stark to add more protective equipment. The parts of the suit that were exposed to further articulation, such as the legs and arms, used malleable metal mesh instead of rigid metal plating. Ultra-fine 3D knitting added knitted motors for full surface motility. This armor is the first to implement the trademark red and yellow color schemes. 2 different helmets were used with this model. The second generation of jet boots were reduced to less than 1 inch thick, and allowed the armor's wearer to fly long distances. For the offensive powers, the increased strength of the armor enables its user to lift heavy objects with ease, to the extent of being able to stop the fall of a missile with little effort at full force. Additional power packs in the cuffs of the suit give the weapons an extra boost. According to Tony Stark, the armor gloves pack twice the wallop of the previous outfit. The armor contains magnetic repulsors housed in each glove's palm, an electrical discharge that can be discharged from the armor's fingertips, and a modular electroblaster that is magnetically clipped onto the magnetic wrist holder of the armor. The variable power chest light is powerful enough to dispel intense energy rays, which can also be used as a searchlight. The add-on allows the searchlight to emit UVA light. For the defensive powers, the suit's shell will protect its user from small arms fire and powerful energy bursts from Hawkeye's strongest explosive arrowhead. The insulation of the armor is also capable of protecting its user from nuclear blasts at near range. The miniature electromagnetic generators of the suit allow the consumer to establish repulsive magnetic force fields. However, the suit is susceptible to rusting and also to chemicals that exacerbate this process. Number 3. Iron Man Armor Model 3 or Nose Armor. This armor was first appeared in Tales of Suspense issue 66 in June, 1965. The modern generation of Iron Man armor began with this model by introducing a long-standing Iron Man arsenal, repulsor rays. Tony quickly wanted to give his armor more facial characteristics, including the notorious faceplate that featured the nose. The armor, including the red and gold color scheme, remained largely unchanged, although non-cosmetic changes were increasingly made and the suit became stronger and more adaptable. For the capabilities of this armor, holograms were created by the inducer of the image. Electric bolts can be used for stunning purposes. The armor surface could be heated. Various gadgets in this armor are a steam ejector, a smoke grenade, a bomb pellet, a chemical weapon, a cutting gun, a sound duplicator and a high-frequency wave generator. For life support, a longer air supply has been improved. The weapon could have absorbed energy from high temperatures, both hot and cold. The armor featured the notorious rocket skates as a form of transport backup. Next, number 4. Iron Man Armor Model 4 or Golden Avenger Suit. This armor was first appeared in Iron Man issue 85 in April, 1976. This armor was created by Tony Stark shortly after the previous model was damaged beyond repair battling the Freak or Happy Hogan that transform into the Freak. This armor was not only more flexible, but even returned to a nose-less faceplate. The armor later underwent several overhauls and was one of the longest models used. James Rhodes replaced Stark as Iron Man for a considerable time using this armor. Happy Hogan, Eddie March, and Force also wore it on different occasions. For capabilities of this armor, the structure of the shield was strengthened by 3D knitting. In comparison, the force field served to hold the shield static. The shield used solar power and integrated microcircuits. Thermocouple was used to tackle high temperatures and transform them to usable electricity, but it could be overwhelmed. Repulsors were standard weapons. The Vario Beam/Unibeam was capable of providing different effects. A tractor beam can be used to drag or tow items. The new iteration of the armor was able to use pulse bolts. Gyro stabilizers have been used in boot jets. Power pods were capable of performing different tasks, such as boosting other devices or detonating. The ECM jamming was used to prevent detection. Hologram emitter has produced several images to make the armor more difficult to aim. In addition to the sound emitter, a voice distortion assisted in preserving Stark's privacy and may even be used to duplicate sounds. The armor may have moved underwater. Freon could be emitted, and the built-in fire extinguisher can handle both internal and exterior fire. Finger lasers and a sabari saw were required for the cutting of objects. Life support was improved. The pacemaker was no longer used following successful heart surgery. Since the Weasel Willis incident, a slave circuit was introduced to regulate older suits. However, this was a weakness as Midas sought to take possession of the armor. Sensors have been upgraded to a full-band transceiver, infrared, and a life tracker keyed to a variety of key staff. Number 5. Iron Man Armor Model 5 or Iron Man Armor Mark 5 or Armor 14C. For this armor was first appeared in Iron Man Volume 1 Issue 142 in January, 1981. The armor suit was designed for prolonged duration beyond the atmosphere. This fusion-powered armor was designed for extended use in space. Up to 2 days in space for food and catheterization capable. This armor was created while Tony wanted to explore space and first used to confront Centurion or Arthur Dearborn. Power was provided by a Mk4 micronuclear supply pack, supplemented by solar power converters. Systems were controlled via a cybernetic interface, though it proved to be overly sensitive. When Stark first used the armor, he had difficulty triggering the appropriate command to activate the feature he wanted. For the capabilities of this armor, life support and other structures are designed specifically for space. The armor is bulky and cumbersome under natural gravity conditions. Its control system is very sensitive. Auto camera and exo units are used for exploring. In terms of the absence of environment, sonar senses vibrations. Thermographs shall have accurate statistics. Repulsors have become normal. In comparison to the regular series, a deflector beam could be used to drive objects. The shield also has concussion rays mounted on its shoulders. Number 6. Iron Man Armor Model 6 or Undersea Armor. For this armor was first appeared in Iron Man issue 218 in February 1987. Although traditional Iron Man suits could operate underwater, they had some limitations. This armor was specially crafted by Stark to function underwater at depths of up to 3 miles. As far as style was concerned, it was an entirely new concept with the exception of the helmet taken from the Model 4 armor. For capabilities of this armor, the repulsor weapons are modified for underwater use, in particular the modified tri-beam style of unibeam and mini torpedoes. The armor can create an electrical field just like an electric eel around itself. It may even emit a chemical into the water that creates an inky black cloud similar to an octopus ink. Boot jets have been provided with adapted turbines. Life support for deep-sea environments has been improved. Long-range exo units operate as grapples with fully articulated hands. Crampons are helping to hold their feet on rocks and reefs. It's a storage bay that can store items. For the main armor can be jettisoned if needed to escape. Number 7. Iron Man Armor Mark 7 or Stealth Armor. Stealth armor was first appeared in Iron Man Volume 1 Issue 152 November, 1981. This armor was developed after Tony was detected using the space armor approaching the Rokon space station. Its creation was motivated by the fact that he was detected by radar during his use of the space armor. The stealth armor was developed using the latest stealth technologies to allow Iron Man to detect foil and slide unidentified in and out of restricted areas. Tony was used to penetrate the Heaven's Hand fortress in the region once known as East Germany and later used the stealth armor to infiltrate Soviet airspace during the First Armor Wars. For capabilities of stealth armor, the stealth armor maximizes the concealment of all else. As a consequence, it is more delicate and can't fit into a briefcase. Radar-absorbing coating, ECM jamming, and a wave-modifying plasma film held by a force field distorts incoming radar and sonar signals. Emissions from jets are swept out by supercooled air while the boots themselves have liquid oxygen rings. If it had been found, it could launch the CAF. Subterranean machinery has been added to reach underground areas. Sensory systems have been upgraded for stealth missions, including a auto camera with microfilm. Number 8. Iron Man Armor Mark 8 or Silver Centurion Armor. Silver Centurion armor was first appeared in Iron Man Volume 1 Issue 200 in November, 1985. Tony started to create the Silver Centurion armor as a means of trying out concepts and experimenting. The S-circuit, which uses its resources more effectively, is an example of Tony's breakthrough, using the armor as a model. While the armor was intended to be used by James Rhodes, Stark ended up giving it himself to gain revenge against Obadiah Stane, the enemy who stripped him of his company, his friends, and almost his life. The battle with Stane in Ironmonger armor was the first field test of this armor, resulting in the loss of Stane and the destruction of Stane International. It was commonly used against other armor users during the first Armor Wars until it was destroyed by one of Firepower's powerful heat-searching missiles. Stark took this excuse to fake the death of the Iron Man who had supposedly gone renegade and attacked the other armor-bearers by sending him away with numerous blood packs inside, enabling him to assert that the new Iron Man wears the suit later. For capabilities of this armor, flight has been improved with new turbines for the boot jets. A separate booster pack can also be included. A limited emergency charge was contained in individual armor pieces. Repulsors and unibeam have been improved. Pulse bolts were gathering energy as they moved to a certain point. Other weapons included heat lance, laser cutting, electric shock, variator rays, and tractor beam. A disruptive field was used against electrical systems. The acoustic interference may also have disrupted enemies. Freon streams have been treating flames. The 6-second force field greatly improved security for a brief amount of time, but consumed tremendous strength. Refractory coating blunt lasers and other energy attacks. Number 9. Iron Man Armor Model 9 or Neoclassic Armor. Neoclassic armor was first appeared in Iron Man Volume 1 Issue 231 in June, 1988. Tony had been tinkering with this new bulkier armor behind the scenes until the first Armor Wars, but was hesitant to use it because of its high strength capability. The style and color scheme was intended to be a redesign and reimagination of his classic armor. Initially, it was just a project that Stark had worked on in his free time. Later on, Stark was forced to donate the armor to avoid firepower after a wretched defeat earlier in which his current armor Silver Centurion was destroyed by one of the firepower missiles. Tony developed a new armor suit, much more strong and flexible than his predecessor, designed specifically to negate firepower's original advantages, such as a means of undermining firepower targeting systems, a gauntlet-generated energy shield, and more powerful boosters for increased speed. It made quick work of firepower, and Stark was so terrified by the destructive capability of the armor, if it were to fall into the wrong hands, that he resolved to destroy it. However, he changed his mind. One day, while Iron Man searching for the Excalibur scabbard, Neoclassic armor interacted with its protective power. The combination of armor and Excalibur allowed Tony and Doom to defeat an extra-dimensional eye monster. The armor has returned to normal. Tony is only aware of the incident due to his memory chip because Merlin used a spell to remove Ace's memory of the events. For capabilities of this armor, the beta particle generator and the solar converter have become the armor source of power. As a result, the armor was stronger and faster. Security chip and anti-intrusion devices have been added to prevent duplication of the armor technology. The cybernetic interface was adapted to Stark's spinal injury. Its battle computer could simultaneously track up to 60 targets. The cybernetic probe could be linked to other systems. A universal translator has been added to enhance communication. A booster pack was available for space travel, as well as an underwater module. The armor preserved and strengthened the weaponry of the Silver Centurion. The EMP was adopted from the use of force. The gauntlets included a jet or gas nozzle. The add-on could include titanium foam. A hyperwave generator may also be launched. The security shield has been used to guard from energy attacks. Protected senses worked instinctively to protect the sight and hearing of Stark. When it was mixed with Excalibur, the shield even demonstrated invulnerability. All the usual features of the suit have been momentarily replaced by a magic counterpart. For example, instead of usual repulsors, spell shots were used. If you like this content, please subscribe, share, like, bell or write feedback in comment. See you in next part. Goodbye.